I recently saw something on Instagram where a guy went completely nuts over Beyblade. It's not a scalper though, thank Christ, but it does involve something that's very disgusting and absolutely unacceptable behavior, especially in front of children, for God's sake. I was scrolling through Instagram last week and came across a rather hilarious yet disturbing video of some very unethical conduct being carried out at a local tournament. I didn't have time to actually make a video about it until now because I was focused on the night mail and the parts theft issues videos that took priority, but looking back on it and rewriting the script multiple times, I realized there is an importance of decorum that should be followed when we are at these Beyblade local events. What I am talking about is a video on Instagram posted by Beyblade X showing some very unsportsmanlike conduct from a local Beyblade competitor from Quebec. Just knowing this came from a fellow Canadian makes this sting a bit more. Just watch this.
It's against short skill. Let's go! If you ask me, he should never be allowed to compete again.
As you see, the blonde dude self-extreme finished and then loses his cool and then yeets his launcher right into the stadium and on his opponent's Beyblade. Now, this guy's conduct was completely unacceptable, obviously. The dude looked like he had a perfect coordinated plan to really win it here, and I don't know if what the narrator says about him acting like a cocky prick is true or not. That is alleged and not relevant anyway, but I can already tell from the angle he was launching in was going to lead to disaster immediately. The fact that this guy had a sheer nerve to be throwing a hissy fit and chucking his launcher into the stadium was bad enough, but there is more. If you look closely into the video more, the guy actually picks up the opponent's Beyblade for some reason and just drops it onto the side of the stadium.
If you ask me, he should never be allowed to compete again.
What were you doing touching your opponent's Beyblade? It did nothing! You screwed yourself! Sorry, but sucks to suck. The guy already threw his launcher into the stadium. That could have damaged both the stadium and the opponent's Beyblade, by the way, and it's even worse that a kid was witnessing the whole thing. That is probably the most heartbreaking part of this video. It's so crazy how much Beyblade crash outs have been happening lately. It wasn't that long ago that we covered someone cheating at Beyblade by assaulting his opponents and even threatening to sue the person that caught him in the act. And it was only a month ago we covered a tournament organizer crashing out on Twitter over meta combos. And now we have someone here acting like a complete child over losing a game and nearly destroying people's property in a temper tantrum. It kind of reminds me of the Beyblade Championships back in 2014 where a kid lost his match and proceeded to throw a hissy fit over it. Anyone remember that? But this coming from an adult, and an adult that is supposedly some local champion, allegedly, I say was too damn far. Imagine if Jacob Pomegranate was caught doing something like this, throwing his launcher into the arena because his Aero Pegasus self-KO'd itself. He'd probably be flamed online more than idiots already unjustly do for an entire month. And I don't care what the circumstances were, whether it was the championship winning game or there was a Valkyrie Volt up for grabs for first place, you behaving like that will not make it better. And like I said, the most heartbreaking thing about this was the fact a child witnessed that hissy fit the guy threw down. I believe that we adult bladers have a responsibility to act with some civil decorum at these local events. Whether there are kids playing or not, if there are kids there, they are watching us. Kids look at us adults as role models and they watch what we do and oftentimes will emulate their behavior based off ours. It should be our job to set a good example to these kids about what to do and what not to do when you are at a competitive setting that is meant to be fun. And what you're doing by throwing a temper tantrum, acting like a sore loser, and being an obnoxious dickhead, you're saying this behavior is cool by you. Now, Beyblade can be a hyper-competitive hobby, and sometimes we do get lost in our emotions in the heat of the game, but it is also important to maintain your composure, maintain your cool, and have some civil decorum and accept your defeat gracefully. Nobody is the absolute greatest at Beyblading, unless you're Daigo, hehe, and we all make mistakes sometimes, and we choke at the last minute, but that is why we we learn from our failures and practice so you can do better next time. And I don't really agree with the poster saying that he should never be allowed to compete again. While what he did was bad, it's not as bad as what we have previously covered, but trust me, maybe not a permanent ban, but a small penalty, because their behavior should have actual consequences. Not only to teach that guy a lesson, but also to send a message to the rest of the people, and especially the children, that that behavior is not welcome. At the very least, at the end, he did shake his opponent's hand, which is a good thing, but I do hope there will be some small penalty enacted for pulling this crap, especially in front of a child. While competitive Beyblade continues to be on the rise more than ever, I have a feeling stories like this are only just the beginning, especially with the expansion of official stuff coming to the West. But hey, at least this doesn't happen like once every week or something like that. But I do mean when I say that when I mention that we adult bladers should act with decency and decorum, especially when we are at these kinds of events. And if behavior like this happens, there should be consequences. If there is a pattern of repeat behavior, like going online and harassing your fellow competitors, that's a strike. Throwing a temper tantrum over not winning a game and mislaunching because of your skill issues, that's a strike. Assaulting your fellow competitor just to cheat out a win, that's a strike. Making fun of autistic or LGBTQ people over criticism of your format, that's a strike. Get enough strikes, you should be told to pack it in and get out, and I don't think that's considered unfair in any way. In Beyblade, there should be one important rule to follow more than anything else. Don't be a shit person. It's not that hard, unless you're a shit person. But anyways, that's done. Feel free to go to Mall of Toys and get yourself something and use my code HARURENBAKUTALK for 5% off. And to cap off the end of the night with something funny, here's a video of someone getting hit in the face by rogue Beyblades.
Oh my god!